Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that the heaviness you've carried for years isn't age, it's emotional weight that was never yours to hold. Many people over 50 still carry guilt, pressure, and silent expectations they picked up decades ago without noticing. And the surprising truth is this: the moment you stop carrying what isn't yours, your whole life begins to feel lighter. In this video, I'll show you how to recognize the burdens that don't belong to you and how to release them without fear or guilt. This may be the turning point you've been waiting for, the unseen weight you were never meant to carry. Imagine ending your day in your favorite chair. Maybe the room is softly lit, a quiet moment just for you. Yet inside, there's a heaviness, not in your body, but in your heart, a weight that has slowly grown over the years without you realizing it. It often begins with small things: a comment someone made long ago, a mistake you still replay in your mind, blame you never deserved, expectations you tried to meet, responsibilities you accepted even when they were never yours. Slowly, without any clear beginning, these things settle inside you like stones placed at the bottom of a bag. You carry that bag everywhere, through work, relationships, family life, success and loss, joy and sorrow. Over time, the weight starts to feel normal. You may even believe it's just part of who you are. But deep down, a quieter truth is waiting to be heard. Much of what feels heavy inside you was never yours to carry. As we live, especially after 50, we collect many stories. Some beautiful, some painful, some unfinished. Without noticing, we take on burdens that come from other people's fears, frustrations, disappointments, or hopes. Maybe you carried guilt from a parent, anger from a partner, or silence from a family that never talked about hard things. Maybe you carried the belief that you must always be strong, always available, always responsible. But here is a gentle insight from Buddhist wisdom. Suffering grows when we hold on to what no longer serves us. When we cling to old emotions, old fears, old identities, we close the door to peace. Life is always moving, always changing, always inviting us to breathe again. When we resist that movement, the weight increases. Think of how often you held on to something because you believed you had to. A harsh memory, a guilt that was never yours, a belief that you had to fix everything for everyone, a fear of letting others down, a silence that grew heavier with each passing year. These burdens can rest quietly in the heart for decades. They shape how you react, how you love, how you see yourself. But imagine something different. Imagine setting that invisible bag down, even for a moment. Feel your shoulders relax, your breath soften, your chest open just a little more. That lightness is not imagined. It is your natural state when you stop carrying what doesn't belong to you. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending the past never happened. It means easing your hold on it. It means understanding that you are not responsible for the emotions, choices, or expectations others placed on you. It means clearly seeing what is yours, your kindness, your actions, your growth, and what is not. When you begin to notice the difference, something shifts. Life feels lighter. Moments become more open. You start living from the present instead of from yesterday's weight. You rediscover a simple truth. Your heart was never meant to store every sorrow or demand that others left inside it. And when you realize that, a new path opens. A path where you no longer move through life dragging invisible chains, but walking with clarity and inner freedom. This is the beginning, the moment you see the weight for what it is and recognize that you have the choice to let it go. The root of suffering, attachment, and the illusion of control. As we move through life, we often believe that peace will come when everything around us behaves the way we expect. We hope people act a certain way, that relationships stay steady, that health remains stable, that the world keeps its balance. Deep inside, we hold the quiet belief that if we can just keep things in order, everything will be fine. But the truth is that much of the suffering we experience comes from the effort to hold life still. We want people we love to stay the same. We want situations to unfold exactly how we imagined. We want the past to change, the future to obey our plans, and the present to match our idea of how things should be. This desire, this instinct to control, grows stronger with age. After 50, we have seen enough loss, enough change, enough surprises to make the heart cautious. We fear that if we loosen our hold, everything will slip away. And so we hold tighter. We grip outcomes, opinions, roles, and relationships. We try to protect what we love by clinging to it. But clinging is like holding sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. Life is not built to stay still. People grow, situations shift, bodies age, feelings transform, even our own identity evolves. When we insist that life must remain exactly how we want it, we create tension inside ourselves. That tension becomes suffering. Attachment is not love. Attachment is fear disguised as protection. Love flows. Attachment grips. Love accepts. Attachment demands. Love breathes. Attachment suffocates. We often attach ourselves to ideas that were never meant to be permanent. The idea of who we once were. The idea of how others should treat us. The idea that we must always be strong, or always be right, or always be certain. We attach to memories of happier times and to fears that things will never improve. We attach to roles we played for years, the caretaker, the provider, the peacemaker, the responsible one. When these roles become part of our identity, we may feel lost at the thought of letting them go. But sometimes, the suffering we feel is simply a sign that we're still trying to carry a version of life that has already changed. Think of a moment when you tried to protect something so intensely that you nearly exhausted yourself. A relationship, a family bond, a reputation, a hope for the future. Think of the fear beneath that effort. Fear of loss, fear of loneliness, fear of not being enough, fear of change. The heart suffers when it fights reality. The heart finds peace when it accepts it. This acceptance is not passive. It doesn't mean giving up. It means seeing things as they are without forcing them to be something else. It means loosening your grip on the illusion that you can control every detail of life. When you stop battling the natural flow of things, the inner pressure softens. Something inside you expands. In that space, you begin to notice a different way of living. You respond to life instead of resisting it. You meet each moment with awareness instead of fear. You understand that control was never the path to safety. Presence is. And as you release the illusion of control, suffering begins to fade. What remains is a sense of calm, a clarity that feels like coming home to yourself after many years of wandering. It is the first taste of true freedom. Being in the world without trying to hold it still. The teaching of emptiness, impermanence at the core of life. As we grow older, life teaches us something that no book ever explains fully. Everything changes. People come and go. Circumstances rise and fall. Our own body transforms, sometimes gently, sometimes abruptly. Moments of joy pass. Moments of pain pass. Years that once felt endless suddenly feel like memories carried in the palm of your hand. And yet, despite knowing all of this, we often hold on to life as if it should stay exactly as it once was. We cling to roles we played for decades. We cling to the person we used to be. We cling to how others once saw us, or how we hoped they would. We cling to the belief that what we love must remain unchanged. But at the heart of Buddhist wisdom, there is a simple, liberating idea. Nothing in this world has a fixed, permanent nature. Everything is in motion. Everything breathes, shifts, grows, and dissolves. Life is a river, not a stone. When this truth is ignored, the heart suffers. When this truth is embraced, the heart relaxes. Think of a time when you wished something would last forever. A relationship, a moment with your family, a stage of life, a sense of certainty. The more you tried to hold it still, the more fragile it became, like holding a butterfly between your hands. The tighter the grip, the more delicate the moment feels. Impermanence is not a threat. It is what gives life its depth. Because things change, our experiences matter. Because people grow, relationships evolve. Because time moves, each moment becomes precious. When we try to freeze life, we suffer. But when we open our hands and allow life to move as it needs to, something inside us loosens. A space appears. In that space, peace becomes possible, not because the world stops changing, but because we stop fighting its nature. Many people over 50 feel a quiet grief for the things that have changed. The children who grew up, the opportunities that didn't return, the friendships that faded, the body that no longer feels the same. This grief is natural, but it becomes painful when we cling to the idea that nothing should have changed in the first place. Impermanence teaches us something different. It says, nothing stays, and that is why everything matters. It says, every moment is unique, and because of that, you can meet it with tenderness. It says, you don't need to carry what has already ended. There is a quiet strength that appears when you accept change rather than resist it. You begin to understand that you are not losing what was. You are making space for what is. You start noticing small details again. A gentle breath, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, a peaceful silence in the morning. These simple things become anchors, reminding you that life continues to offer beauty even as it transforms. Acceptance of impermanence doesn't mean living without care. It means caring without clinging. It means loving fully while knowing that life moves. It means appreciating what you have right now, rather than trying to force it to stay as it is. When you learn to live with this understanding, you stop carrying the weight of what once was. You no longer fight the passing of time. You walk with it, and with each step, something softens inside you. A lightness appears, not from gaining something new, but from releasing the impossible task of making life stay still. In that acceptance, there is freedom, and in that freedom, your heart finds room to breathe again. How to recognize what is not yours to bear. By the time we reach midlife and beyond, we often carry more emotional weight than we realize. Not because life has been unkind, but because we have spent decades taking on responsibilities, emotions, and expectations that were never truly ours. Sometimes we inherit them without noticing. Other times we accept them out of love, loyalty, or habit. Yet they slowly shape how we think, how we feel, and how we move through the world. Recognizing what is not yours to bear is like turning on a light in a room you have walked through in the dark for years. Suddenly, you see what belongs, what doesn't, and what has been quietly draining your energy. One of the clearest signs is emotional exhaustion that appears without a clear cause. You might wake up tired not because of physical strain, but because you've been carrying someone else's fears, frustrations, or hopes. You may notice you worry more about other people's problems than they worry about themselves. You may feel responsible for fixing situations you didn't create. These are gentle messages from your inner world telling you that a burden has slipped into your hands that was never meant to stay there. Another sign is guilt that appears too easily. Guilt for saying no. Guilt for taking time for yourself. Guilt for not pleasing everyone. Guilt for things that happened years ago, even when you were doing your best. This kind of guilt often comes from expectations set by others, not from your own values. When guilt is sharp and constant, it usually doesn't belong to you. Pay attention also to the stories you tell yourself. If you hear an inner voice saying, "You must always be strong, always be available, always be calm, always be forgiving, always be perfect," that voice may not be yours. It may belong to a parent, a childhood memory, a past relationship, or a role you played for so long that it became automatic. These internal demands often linger long after the moment that created them has passed. There is also the weight of other people's emotions. You may notice that when someone close to you is angry, sad, or disappointed, you feel responsible for bringing them back to peace. Many people over 50 have spent years smoothing conflicts, calming storms, and making sure everyone else feels safe. But someone else's emotional weather is not yours to control. You can offer support, compassion, and presence, but their feelings belong to them, not to you. The past can also place heavy stones in your hands, old mistakes that you already learned from, decisions you made with the knowledge you had at the time, things you would do differently now. These memories often cling to you as if they define who you are. But the past is a teacher, not a prison guard. If a memory only brings weight and no wisdom, it is not yours to carry anymore. Another clue lies in your body. The body often speaks when the mind tries to stay quiet. Tight shoulders, a heavy chest, a constant knot in the stomach. These sensations sometimes appear when you hold emotions or responsibilities that are not aligned with your true self. The body reacts to imbalance long before the mind admits it. Recognizing what is not yours to bear is an act of clarity, not rejection. It does not mean you love less. It does not mean you turn your back on people. It means you understand that carrying someone else's pain does not heal them, and carrying guilt that isn't yours does not make you wiser. Letting go of what does not belong to you creates space to carry what truly matters. Your peace, your compassion, your purpose, your presence. When you begin to see clearly, you notice that some of the weight you held for years dissolves instantly, as if it was waiting for you to acknowledge it. And in that moment, you rediscover yourself. Not as the person shaped by burdens, but as the person who can choose what to hold and what to release. Letting go without guilt or fear. Letting go sounds simple when we hear it, yet it is one of the hardest things we face in life, not because we lack strength, but because we associate letting go with loss, failure, or abandoning something important. For many people over 50, letting go brings up fears that have lived quietly in the heart for decades. Fear of hurting someone, fear of being misunderstood, fear of appearing cold or selfish, fear of leaving behind a part of themselves. But letting go is not rejection. Letting go is honesty. It is the moment you stop pretending that holding on is helping you. It is a gesture of respect toward yourself, and surprisingly toward others too. When you hold on to what has already ended, you block life from moving naturally. When you release it, you allow truth to breathe again. The first step in letting go without guilt is understanding the difference between caring and carrying. You can deeply care for someone without carrying their emotions on your back. You can support them without absorbing their pain. You can love someone and still set down what is too heavy for you. Caring expands you, carrying drains you. Fear often appears when you imagine how others will react. Maybe you worry that saying no will disappoint someone, that stepping back will cause conflict, that choosing your peace will be judged as selfishness. But guilt usually comes from forgetting one important truth. You are allowed to protect your well-being. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to choose peace over pressure. You are allowed to let go of what harms you, even if others don't understand right away. A powerful way to let go without guilt is to shift your attention from the fear of what you are releasing to the freedom you are gaining. When you loosen your grip on resentment, you gain space for compassion. When you release the need to control everything, calm begins to grow. When you let go of old expectations, you gain clarity about who you are now, not who you were 20 or 30 years ago. Often, we hold on because we fear emptiness. We worry that if we release a role, a person, a routine, or a belief, we will be left with nothing. But emptiness is not a void. It is space, and space is what allows something new, peaceful, and meaningful to grow. The heart cannot breathe fresh air when it is filled with old storms. Letting go without fear also means trusting that life will continue even as things change. You have survived heartbreak. You have survived uncertainty. You have survived moments when you believed you could not go on. And each time, life moved forward with you. Change has always been your companion, even when you resisted it. Trusting this truth softens the fear of release. Letting go without guilt also requires compassion toward yourself. You carried these burdens out of love, out of duty, out of hope, out of being the strong one for so long. It's natural to feel emotional when you finally set them down. But allowing yourself to feel that emotion is part of healing. You are not doing something wrong. You are doing something necessary. And letting go without guilt also means allowing others to carry what belongs to them, their emotions, their growth, their choices. When you stop holding everything together, you give others the space to stand on their own. This is not abandonment, it is respect. The moment you begin to release, you feel a shift, a lightness, an easier breath, a sense of space opening around the heart. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the stage in life where you stop forcing your spirit to carry what was never meant to be yours. You free yourself gently, and in doing so, you return home to a quieter, truer version of who you are. Letting go does not erase your love, your memories, or your compassion. It simply lifts the weight that has been blocking your peace. And in that release, you remember how it feels to breathe fully again, to live more lightly, with peace and renewed purpose. There comes a moment in life, often after 50, when you begin to sense a quiet truth beneath everything you've lived. Peace does not come from adding more to life, but from removing what weighs you down. When you stop carrying what isn't yours, something remarkable begins to unfold. Your days feel clearer, your thoughts grow softer, your emotions move with greater ease. It's as if a window opens inside you, letting fresh air in after years of stillness. Living lightly does not mean living carelessly. It means living with intention. It means becoming mindful of what you invite into your heart and what you lovingly allow to fall away. It is moving through life with spaciousness instead of pressure. The world around you may look the same, but your relationship with it quietly shifts. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop clinging to what is already leaving. You stop carrying stories that no longer reflect who you are today. As old burdens loosen their grip, you begin to rediscover parts of yourself that were patiently waiting beneath the noise. A gentler patience, a deeper kindness, a clarity that feels like coming home to your true center. You may notice that many of the roles you carried for decades were temporary bridges, necessary once, but never meant to define you forever. When you release them, you give yourself permission to grow into who you are becoming, not who you once had to be. Living lightly also means returning to the beauty of simple things: a quiet morning, a soft breeze against your skin, a familiar voice, a moment of stillness that feels like a blessing rather than an absence. When your inner world is uncluttered, these small moments become the foundation of peace. They remind you that life does not need to be loud to be meaningful or dramatic to be profound. Sometimes the deepest transformations happen in silence. And as your heart grows lighter, your purpose becomes clearer. You no longer move from obligation or fear, but from presence, truth, and a quiet sense of knowing. You begin to act from presence, from wisdom, from the quiet understanding that your life is not measured by how much you endure, but by how deeply you live. You move through your days with a gentle strength, knowing you're allowed to choose what remains in your life and what no longer belongs. With time, this way of living becomes natural, not something you force, not something you rehearse, simply something you are. You stop apologizing for choosing peace. You stop feeling guilty for resting. You stop believing your worth comes from holding everything together. Instead, you begin to trust yourself, the rhythm of life, the truth that letting go has opened the door to a deeper freedom than striving ever could. And as this journey comes to its quiet close, remember this. You were never meant to carry every weight that crossed your path. You were meant to learn, to love, to grow, and then, when the time came, to gently release what no longer served you. In doing so, you honor your life in its most authentic form. So as we part, may you walk forward with a lighter heart and a clearer mind. May you feel the calm strength that comes from choosing yourself with kindness. And wherever life leads you next, may you walk gently, breathe deeply, and live lightly. Thank you for sharing this moment and this journey with me.